Hey there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia. So the announcement for the International Booker Prize comes out tomorrow. That is focused on fiction that is translated into English. So I thought I'd go ahead and make a video about some recent translated fiction that you may or may not have missed. I have personally not read the books that we're going to talk about today, but I did just want to go ahead and put them on your radar just in case it's something that you want to read. So with that, go ahead and grab a snack, grab some tea, grab some coffee, and get cozy while we go ahead and talk about some translated books. Let's get right into the video. So today I have Trolley Sour Bite Crawlers. I am not a big candy person. Ben is, but I am not. I very rarely eat candy or desserts. I just in general don't have a really big sweet tooth, but from time to time I just get cravings. Like the other day I had a really big craving for a Marionberry cobbler. It's like a peach cobbler but made with Marionberries. And I had one a couple of weeks ago at a brewery. Best thing I've ever had. I think I want to go back to that brewery tonight and just get that cobbler and get a nice big old jug of beer. That just sounds like a fantastic evening for me. Anyways, I'm getting off track here. But the point is that I'm not a really big sweets person, but from time to time I just crave some sugar, and today's one of those days. So I'm just gonna be eating some candy while we sit here. Okay. By the way, I have the original ones. Which one's your favorite? When I was younger, the red and blue ones were my favorite. Now, I'm all about the green and orange ones. I don't know what it is. They're so good. So the first book that I want to talk to you about is I Do Not Sleep. This was written by Ihsan, Abdel, Kouddous, and this was translated from Arabic to English by Jonathan Smolin. Wherever possible, I'm going to try to give you some information on the author and then go into the book. I just really like to learn a little bit about authors and who they are as people and what they do besides just writing. I just find that really interesting. So if I can, I'll go ahead and try to include some fun facts about the author. So Ihsan is actually an author from Egypt, and he was jailed 3 times for his political beliefs and also his journalism. His Arabic fiction comprises of more than 5 dozen novels and short story collection. And this book in particular, I Do Not Sleep, was first released back in 1950. It's set to challenge patriarchal norms with its strong female characters and brazen sexuality, and it continues to speak to the complex human condition. So in this one, we're following our main character Nadia when she is 16 years old. Her parents were divorced when she was a baby, so she has been the only woman in her father's life for as much as she can remember. Now when she is older, she attends boarding school, and when she comes back from boarding school at 16 years old, she realizes that her father has been remarried secretly without her knowing. And so really this is the story of Nadia trying to reclaim her throne as the only woman in her dad's life. This sounds really interesting, although it does sound interesting in a diluted sort of way. It's one that did catch my attention a couple of months ago, but I just haven't been able to get to it. So that is I Do Not Sleep. The next book on this list is called Phenotypes, and this is by Paulo Scott. And this is translated from Portuguese by Daniel Hanh. So this is actually Paulo Scott's second book that is being translated from Portuguese into English. And Phenotypes is set to be a satire on race, telling the tale of 2 brothers, one with lighter skin and the other darker. I was reading the synopsis for this, and it sounds very similar to The Vanishing Half. Now, I don't know when this was originally published. I tried to find when it was originally published in Portuguese for the first time. Couldn't find it, but this is set in Brazil, so the context will be a little bit different. The Vanishing Half is set in America, I believe. I haven't read it, so a completely different cultural context. So in this one, we follow Federico and Lourenço, who are brothers. Federico is the one that is white passing. He's also the one that has been distant, angry, and analytical, but he was always able to avoid the worst impacts of racism because of his skin color. On the other hand, Lourenço is not white passing, but his easy breezy personality, easy breezy cover girl. I don't know why I just thought of that commercial media, but his easygoing personality has always attracted people and made him well liked. So this is going to be a book that explores race in Brazil, and in the blurb it does say that it's going to probe in particular on the loss of a Black identity independent from the history of slavery. So that sounds super interesting to me, and one that I definitely want to get to. This next one was recently published into English on January 11th of 2022. And this is Call Me Cassandra by Marcial Gala. So this was translated from Spanish into English by Kushner, And Marcial Gala is a Cuban author. He was born in Havana sometime in the 1960s. I actually do have a book by Marcial Gala. It's called The Black Cathedral, I believe, and I was meaning to start it, and then time got away from me, and then I never ended up reading it, and now I just got reminded by it, and oh my god, that is the cycle of new books. So this one in particular, Call Me Cassandra, says it's a darkly magical tale of a haunted young dreamer born in the wrong body and time who believes himself to be a doomed prophetess from ancient Greek mythology. So I feel like this is going to be a book for all of you who like Greek myths and tales. In this one, we're following our main character named Rauli. He is 10 years old and he is growing up in Cuba. And he is growing up in Cuba during a very hostile time. His older brother is violent. His dad doesn't really seem to understand him either. And his intelligence coupled with his sensitivity is causing him to get bullied at school. Now, Rauli loves to read, and he particularly loves to read about Greek mythology and learn all the myths and tales. But this is Cuba in the 1970s, and that hobby can be particularly dangerous, especially if it's literature from outside of Cuba. So despite the signs that warn Rauli to repress and fear what he is, he knows 3 things to be true. First, that he was born in the wrong body. Second, that he will die aged 18 as a soldier in the Cuban intervention of Angola. And then third, that he is the reincarnation of the Trojan princess Cassandra. I know that Marcial Gala writes within the confines of magical realism. So once I end up finally picking up The Black Cathedral, this is one that I also want to pick up because it sounds like it's going to be magical but also endearing and heartbreaking at the same time. So that is Call Me Cassandra. The next book that I want to talk to you about was recently published into English by Bellevue Literary Press on January 25th of 2022. This is called Seasons of Purgatory by Shahriar Mandanipour. And this was translated from Persian into English by Sara Khalili. So Shahriar Mandanipour is an award-winning Iranian author from Iran that writes contemporary Persian literature. He has actually been prohibited from publishing his fiction in his native country from 1992 to 1997 in Iran. And Seasons of Purgatory is going to be a short story collection, and it says, in Seasons of Purgatory, the fantastical and the visceral merge in tales of tender desire and collective violence, the boredom and the brutality of war, and the clash of modern urban life and rural traditions. While delivering a ferocious social critique, these stories are steeped in poetry and stark beauty of ancient land and culture. Now that just sounds delightful. I do read quite a lot of short story collections. It's not something that I have been recently gravitating to. I particularly love to read short story collections in the summer and in the fall. I have no idea why, they just feel like the time to read them. In winter and the spring, I gravitate more towards fantasy for some reason. I don't know why. So that is Seasons of Purgatory. The next book on this list that I want to talk to you about is called Jawbone by Monica Ojeda. This is translated from Spanish by Sarah Booker. This is a piece of translated horror that I'm super excited about. This was recently published back in February 8th of 2022, and Monica Ojeda is actually an author from Ecuador, which is really exciting for me because I haven't read any literature from Ecuador, and I love horror books from Latin America, so I know this is going to be a really good one. So this is actually Ojeda's first translated work into English, and to give you a little synopsis for the book, it says, Fernanda and Annalise are so close they are practically sisters. A double image, inseparable. So how does Fernanda end up bound on the floor of a deserted cabin, held hostage by one of her teachers, and estranged from Annalise? When Fernanda, Annalise, and their friends from the Delta Bilingual Academy convene after school, Annalise leads them in thrilling but increasingly dangerous rituals to a god of her own invention. Even more perilous is the secret Annalise and Fernanda share, rooted in a dare in which violence meets love. It's okay. This just sounds so good. Can't believe I still haven't read this, but I will get to it. And so the last book that I want to talk to you about today is called The Music Game by Stefanie Clermont, and this is translated by J.C. Sutcliffe. This was published recently back in February 8th of 2022, and it is translated from French into Spanish. Stefanie Clermont is based in Montreal, but she was actually born in Ottawa. Yes, Ottawa. So this is Canadian literature, which I think I also haven't read a lot of. The Music Game is a coming-of-age novel told in stories from multiple perspectives. Clermont's first fiction focuses on 3 young women following the suicide of a shared friend as they make their way through the tempest of a young century, contending with issues of violence, gender identity, globalization, and much more. So when their friend dies by suicide in a vacant lot in Montreal's impoverished East End, 3 young women strike out into the world of the 2010s to define their identities, sexualities, and political commitments. From the precariousness of growing up speaking French in an English-speaking city to the grind of service jobs and elation of romantic discovery. The music game captures the experience of a millennial generation like no other novel. That sounds so freaking good. And I'm really interested in the format of this book because it is a novel, but it's told as a series of short stories within a novel. That's really cool. I love it when authors are experimental and play with form. Those are some of my favorite books to read. So those were all of the books that I have for you today. Let me know down below if you've actually read any of these books. I would love to hear your thoughts on them. The International Booker Prize long list is coming out tomorrow. I can't wait. I'll probably be making some sort of video, either reacting to the list or going over the books or something like that. Every year, I try to read the long list for the International Booker Prize, and every year, I fail. I don't think I'll try to read the long list this year, or maybe I won't. I don't know, we'll see. I need an accountability buddy if I'm going to do that to keep me on track. But if anything, I will definitely go ahead and read the short list when that comes out. If you've made it this far, leave a little plant emoji down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!